Da 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 da. What's my good chair? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And if you give me 1 second here, I've got a dripping tap. There we go. Much better, you guys. Welcome. We'll see who pops in tonight. Today was a day for me just to kind of work on listing some jewelry. I'm not a big fan of listing jewelry because you have to be very particular and you have to be accurate. I felt like a bit of a scammer yesterday. I went and posted a lot, not a lot, but like a grouping of jewelry pieces, very high end pieces. And AI is getting so good. I checked them out. They looked awesome, but they found that one of them was a counterfeit, wasn't real. And they deleted my post, my listing that I spent like a half an hour putting together because you do have to be particular. You have to be really good at the photos for the buyers, right? And you have to list the metals and the stones, and a lot of it is in the spiel, right? The conversation that you're having with the buyer to entice them. And it's not a matter of manipulation. That's the important thing about it because you're building up a reputation, you're building up a following of people that trust you. And I felt a little bit bad yesterday when they deleted my hard work, and it made me feel like I was doing something sneaky when in reality I wasn't. It was an honest mistake. The thing about AI, they do not have that trait, that very human trait of being able to feel out intent, right? They take everything, right? It's the way it works. They're not, AI is not human. The digital age is not human. I'm in contact all day long, and I have to feel out the content to see whether or not it is AI generated, even though you can clearly see that it's all been done with animation and computers and stuff. But it's the feeling behind it, right? It's the personality behind it. And to each one of us, we have to feel out what's true for ourselves. But in this digital age, well, everything is technical, everything to the T. And if there is something not sitting right, it's not a matter of intuition, it's not a matter of feeling out ill intent. It's just something that's not right. And so they found a little piece of jewelry in this lot, and I listed it as Christian Dior, which it totally said on the piece, but it was a replica. It was not necessarily a Christian Dior piece. It was a piece of jewelry that was advertising Christian Dior. So when they deleted it, and I went, what? They deleted my video, and I went into the analytics, and to actually get a review on it and find out exactly what I had done wrong because I rechecked everything. Everything looked totally fine to me. But then in my own human intuition, I said, I bet you it's this piece right here. And sure enough, it was the little Christian Dior locket. And if I had Google Lensed it, which I didn't, right? I just took it as face value. If I had Google Lensed it, I would have known immediately that it wasn't an original piece of Christian Dior. It didn't make me feel less bad. But in that honest mistake, and like I said, the digital age doesn't appreciate intent or honesty. They take everything for face value until they can prove otherwise. That's why you guys have been hearing me say lately that saying, that ignorance is no excuse. When you go to your parents and you go, "Oh, but I didn't know." Or you go to court and you go, "I didn't know." Or the traffic officer stops you at the stoplight. "I didn't know," right? You can't use that anymore because everything is recorded. Oh my goodness, we're just going to cancel that. And that's my sister. She probably found something wrong in the listings that I did today. But lost my track there. Yeah, this digital age, not being able to feel out intent. And so it's important for me to do a good job. And none of us as humans are ever going to be able. Hello, Tammy. Hello, dear. None of us as humans are ever going to be able to compete, right? Analytically, in the accuracy of robots, as bots, as this age of AI learning. And I can't necessarily say the digital age, right? Because I think we are advancing so fast now that we are moving out of the digital age and we're moving into something a little bit more analytical. And how I feel about that, it doesn't really matter in the end, right? It's being used by society. So I've got to ride that wave myself. It's so grateful, that I actually involved myself in the small ways that I do, right? I'm not going to minimalize what I do here on YouTube, but, in comparison to some of those content creators and those thought leaders out there, I am way back there somewheres. But in some aspects, right, being the human that I am, I have that ability to feel out intent. And, I earned that badge, right? It comes from my own trials and tribulations and traumas and, right, dynamic families. And I earned that badge. So I am definitely going to utilize that. It was like you guys saw me. I said, "Oh, can you wait 1 second? I've got to go." And I hear the tap dripping because these are the things that distract me. And it's important for me to stay on top of things that way. And because I know that I'm hypervigilant, I have to cater to that a little bit, right? But at the same time, that hypervigilance, I earned that badge too. And it serves me. Anybody plays with my lock, oh my goodness, out comes the flare fish knife and right and the hot personality. It would be enough to scare anybody. I earned that badge to utilize what I have experienced and what I have learned and what it has distinctly imprinted on me. And right, there are other people out there who've had more traumatic events, that have lived and grown up in more dynamic families, that they don't have these skills. They do have these skills, but they don't recognize them as skills. They recognize them as faults, right? And I was thinking a little bit about that today, because we are moving something a little bit beyond the digital age. And, I came in when it was first starting and stuff, and I started listening to conversations and to content creators and to thought leadership out there when it really wasn't a big deal. It wasn't in a way that, anybody could pick out really the truth like they can in this day and age. Like I said, as we move forward, there isn't going to be any excuse ever, right? In our ignorance. And we're going to have to stay up to date to the very best of our ability. Tammy, do you work with social media in any way? I know you love the YouTube videos and stuff. Do you play lots on your phone? Do you keep up on the news events and alerts and right? Are you even interested in it in any way? I'd be interested to know that. When I first started, right, I was selling fur coats on eBay. So I had to learn eBay when it first came out. And that was very technical. That was super scary. I didn't think I was very good at it, but I'm very grateful. I had my sister Alice, and she helped. She was an eBay seller before I was, but she was doing different things. But I just wanted to do fur coats, and I was doing very, very well in fur coats. But I had to learn. It was a process of learning that. Now it's a different day and age, right? Where it is AI and everybody's expected to be perfect, right? Without fault. And that I think is some kind of move, right? To make us truly feel bad about ourselves, because we grow up believing that we can fail and we can make mistakes and learn by those mistakes. But we're not going to get those chances anymore. And I'm so grateful that I came in when I did, that I was actually able to use some of those badges that I earned. And to stop here to go down a side branch for 1 minute, I'm a Google Maps contributor, and I'm working at getting my level 7. I'm pretty close to getting my level 7. I think I'm going to get there this year for sure. I love spending time out on the road, and I know I could have been there a long time ago by doing restaurant reviews and right taking photographs of the front of stores and giving reviews and answering questions. I could have been there, but I want to be known, and I don't know why I want to be known, because the Google Map contributors used to be able to be followed. Now I heard them say that, right, we won't be able to have a following anymore on that. But it doesn't make a difference to me, because for me, what I do when it concerns the outdoors is important. So yes, I once in a while I'll throw one in there. I'll do a Tim Hortons restaurant or something when I get some good service or a nice hot cup of coffee. But on the norm, I want to stay on the highways. I want to stay in the provincial parks. I want to stay in those attractions and beautiful landscapes. So it'll take me a little bit longer, but I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going slow. And even for myself, in having that ad deleted on me yesterday, right? I don't even mind that, because it was a lesson for me, because I actually was able to spend some time in reflection to say, oh my goodness, right? This day and age that we live in now, and who knows what is going to be titled next, right? The age of AI learning. I don't know. I think it's gone even beyond that a little bit, right? We really do need to look at the future and look at how fast we're moving. And it's in those ideas. It's the same thing with every generation, right? That, you know, Oh, that was in my grandfather's day, right? And you just look at the inventions and innovation and how far we've come just in the past 50 years, let alone the past 100 years or past 200 years. And it's in our right evolution that we are going to get better and better. Maybe we will become more like the computers and the bots and be able to pick up on the nuances and the truth, right? Right now, I'm using those human traits, right? Using my intuition, using my feeling and it was just like a few minutes ago before I went live. I have my laptop, but I have my desktop too. And I like to work with my desktop. I have a great big monitor. I just really like my desktop. It's simple. I only use it for streaming and taking in lessons and feeling like I'm in class, right? But I was in the middle of a 3 hour Evan Carmichael video, like a 3 hour one. Like it's going to take me a couple of days to get through that video. But when I came live, I went and closed all my windows and I went, oh my goodness, like I didn't even know. And I know YouTube will re-suggest it to me because I'm already into it because it's such a long video. For sure they'll know that it's not because I got bored with it. It's just because it was so long and I had something else to do, right? I accidentally closed the window. I know after my live, I'll have a little bit more time to do a little bit more digesting. But, he's somebody that I really do have to use my intuition and a lot of my feelings in because he's very specific, right? Like he's very technical. He's a no chancy kind of guy, right? But at the same time, you have to understand that some people are actually online because they do want to help, right? And even though they don't look the picture of goodness, right? That's only a human trait that we're feeling out in an experience that possibly we had in the past. And, I get these feelings about a lot of people. In my life, I have come across so many different people that I have resonated with different religious denominations, different spiritual denominations. Oh my goodness, like different political ideas, the love for the outdoors, the love for the office, love for customer service, love for partying, right? Love for camping. And, right, no two people are truly alike. But that isn't the way it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be all alike, all walking behind each other in a straight line, right? All wearing the same clothes. What first thing that came into my mind was the Catholic girls' skirts, right? Like, everybody dresses the same when they go to a Catholic school, but the reasoning is in that is so that nobody is singled out for being better or less than the person next to them, right? And I believe that is a good trait to have, but as long as they are growing in an individualistic way with their own ideas, their own perspectives, their own loves and knowledge in life. And it's okay to be different because when you're different and you have somebody else in your life, they can pick up on that slack. Remember what I said when I started on eBay selling fur coats? I didn't know anything about that, but I was so grateful that my sister was already on eBay and she's been supporting her family for like, not going to age her out or anything, but 40 years she's been selling on eBay and she's an expert, right? And so when I started on eBay, when I saw how well she was doing, right? I wanted to keep it simple, and I could get fur coats really cheap, just for a few dollars, and then I would sell them for hundreds of dollars. It was so cool. And I would only have to work for 6 months out of the year, and then the other 6 months I would just live on what I made, right? But she filled those gaps up in me where I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the strength at that time. I wasn't very good. But she not only filled the gaps up in the beginning, she's helping me along and stuff, but you got to wean off of that after a while and become good at it on your own accord, right? To be able to fill somebody's gaps, but not just fill their gaps, but teach them how to fill their own gaps so that they don't become weak in life. That if, something happened, right, to my sister Alice, that I would be able to carry on my own. And that's the problem with marriages sometimes, because we go into these marriages and we expect the wife to cook and clean and take care of the babies, and the husband to go off and work and make the money and fix the cars and take the vacations and do the renovations and stuff. But we don't take into consideration, if there's a divorce, that husband is going to have to learn to cook, aren't they? And the wife is going to have to learn to take care of her own vehicle, or she's going to have to dish out money to have somebody do it for her. Now, lots of us, right, as a wife, I have no interest in learning how to work on cars. Sorry, I got a car alarm going off outside here. But I don't want to learn how to fix a vehicle. But, if the car stopped in the middle of the highway, I'd like to know how to open up the carburetor and stick my finger in there and try the car again. I know that works. I'd like to know, if I had a flat tire, how to change my own tire. And these are simple things that your partner, if you have that gap in your life and that knowledge, that they can help you to learn at the very least enough to get you started, to get you by. And there's nothing worse than utilizing people around you and not being able to learn by that yourself, right? We learn so that we can help others to learn, right? You hear me all the time say, I'm just doing this for myself so that I could be the example for others, right? Because I only have control over my own thoughts, my own actions, and my own emotions. Yes, those could all be triggered into action, but we need to, if that situation comes where we just have to, right? Or that situation comes and we could say, oh, we could spend the rent money and fix the car, or I can go and see if I can change that tire on my own, right? Oh my goodness, we can go to McDonald's and spend $50 on, for dinner for me and the kids, or I can learn to make hot dogs or hamburgers or something at home. That is learning, right? I have a survival bin in my walk-in closet. It's got everything. It's got snow pants and winter jackets and gloves. It's got axes. It's got slingshots. I even have a bow and arrow, bear spray, pots and pans, compasses, flashlights, solar lists, solar that. Like, I have a bin that I worked at Goodwill, so I was able to make the most amazing survival bin. Not only a survival bin, I also made my own medic bag, right? Bandages and surgical tools and splints and casts for the arms and all kinds of neat things. And that one is specifically for the back of my car, should I ever, and I've never had to use it. Grateful. But that goes in the back of my car so that if I do come across a car accident, like there's a possibility that I can help out because I'm knowledgeable and I'm prepared and I have the resources to do it, right? And in doing that and having other people holding people down and stuff and them watching me do it, it's an idea for them. What a great idea. If Sydney didn't have her little medic bag with all that goodies in there to help out in this scary situation where somebody could have died. Maybe I need to start my own bag. Maybe it's a good idea if I have at the very least a first aid kit in the back of the car, right? So it's about filling those gaps. And if we don't have those partners, we have family members, we have co-workers, we have next door neighbors, right? That we can all learn by. And sometimes I learn best by being a student and being a spectator and not necessarily being that hands on person. Lots of people can learn that way too. And I've learned quite a bit in my lifetime, right? This old bird has been around the block a few times, and I am grateful for the lessons that come across my path because just as much as they could have come across my path, they just might not have, right? It's all in my choices, and I'm so grateful that I was able to make a living by selling fur coats online. And I'm grateful that my sister not only filled those gaps where I was not knowledgeable in, but she actually taught me how to fill those gaps up. And then when she was off doing her own thing, I could take care of business on my own, right? So, a big lesson, the moral of this whole story is for us not to become so dependent on this digital age, this age of AI learning, that we're going to lose the ability to take care of ourselves on the outside, right? On the outside world, in the real world, because this is real, right? This is real, but you guys gotta feel me out. You're not sitting here with me day in and day out and hanging out with me as I'm listing or I'm going for walks or piddling around in other aspects of my life. You have to trust me in that. And we live in a world that isn't very trusting. And so it's important. It's part of me showing up here every day and sharing in my experience and being the evidence for others that it can be done, right? Okay, like Tammy's yapping away. So I'm just going to take a look and see what she's yapping about. Sorry, my message was too long. I do use social media, the YouTube channels a lot. I love it. The positives and good things. I do not sell things. I use it as news source and TV and computer, etc. That's wonderful. That counts, right? That's allowing this age of AI learning to draw you in and pull you in and introduce you to interesting people. Interesting people that you get to choose, right? Content that you get to choose, and it's not being forced down your throat as a truth. And I know you're just as empathic as I am, Tammy, and I know that you feel out intent. I know that you do, and it's a beautiful safety feature. It helps us so much from falling into those pitfalls in our life, right? God forbid a scammer should ever phone me and think that they can get away with anything. Well, unless it was AI learning. But if it was AI then I wouldn't even bother having a conversation, right? I wouldn't even, not at this point in my life, not when there's so much of the real and so much of the genuine, right? And still out there. I want to stay connected, even though I spend so much time online, right? I want to spend time with the real, and I want to feel it out for myself, what's a truth and what's an untruth. And I don't want to be blasted by people who, I know better than you, this is the way it is. No, it's what I think it is. It's what I feel it is. If you want to divvy out some information like an appetizer platter, you're more than welcome to, but I'm going to feel it out, and I'm going to feel what's true for me. If you shove somebody's name down my throat and said, this is the be all to end all, he's the smartest, he should be president, he should rule the world. Well, you know what? I'm not going to take that at its face value like AI might do if this person has that standing in the world, right? Just like Hitler had that standing. I'm the be all to end all. I am the most powerful in the world, but not really understand that, right? This age of AI learning, that would have been deleted in a minute. And I think that's an honest truth. And I think that would probably be a truth for everybody. But because the age of AI learning wasn't there at that time in age, right? Nobody was there to question it, right? Nobody was there to witness it. And people had to take it as face value, right? Okay, let's come into those comments. See. Um, Cindy, in my high school days, I did not study computers. I had typing class. I was terrible in typing. I'm still a person. Is why I don't work in marketing, because I would have been great in marketing. But you have to be a really good typer to be in marketing, because right, it's a lot of typing. It's a lot of computer work, isn't it? AI learning, well, that's going to be a little bit different going forward, because you have voice recognition and stuff, but at the same time, right, it has to be me. So in this moment, I am happy to be here, so everybody can just judge for themselves what's true and what's not true, and whether I can be the evidence for somebody, right? um School days, I did not study computers. I had typing class. I had to, years later, jump on the bandwagon to learn the computers in college. If not, I could not be in college. Well, interesting that you say that, Tammy, because, during COVID, right, grandparents didn't see their babies or their kids, right? We were all locked down. It was pretty bad for a couple of years there, wasn't it? But if they hadn't had the forcibility, because they were forced into learning computers, right? To learn to FaceTime with their grandkids and their children, they wouldn't have had an opportunity to build those connections, right? And I think that really saved the day for lots of people. And I think it gained a lot of entrepreneurs, because a lot of people in their middle age or in their retirement, they still want to make an income. And it wasn't like they weren't smart, but they just didn't know what to do. And that period in time when the world was shut down, it was an opportunity to really delve in and check out the possibilities, right? And become competitors, right? And there's nothing wrong with being a competitor if you're truthful and honest and not manipulative in that, right? There's all kinds of opportunities out there. I know there's still opportunities even though I can't type for myself. But in the moment, I'm not compelled to. I had the thought, Cindy, go back to work and get your minivan. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm just like months away from my retirement, official retirement, where I actually get a pension. And I'm thinking about going back to work. But and I think, the contemplation about putting some money together and being able to get a good vehicle or an RV so that when I do hit the road, that I have a vehicle or an RV rather than trying to figure out how to come up with that money, right? Okay, I don't want to lose track where I was there. Yeah, but I just wanted to throw that in there too, right? Because people don't realize that, oh my goodness, yeah, that's when I first started online. At least people in my age bracket, right? They had no use. It was like my mom when the remote control came out, right? We gave her a universal remote so she wouldn't have to get out of her chair to change the TV or turn the stereo on or watch a movie in her beta machine. And she took that universal remote and she just swung it at the wall and it just shattered into a million pieces. She wasn't going to have none of that. She wasn't, she'd much rather just get up on her own accord and go change the dial on the TV, get up and change the TV on her own. And, right, would you know how to do that if the remote control became something of the past, that they actually went back to the rotary televisions? Well, maybe the older people would be more smarter than the younger ones in that. But yeah, my dad loved technology. My mother did not, and she was quite adverse to it. And she was very vocal and very energetic when it came to us trying to suggest these things. When she's looking for a box of chocolates, she gets a remote control. She's looking at it like somebody just gave her a big pile of poop, right? And she would treat it that way. And yeah, that's another story, but yeah, just using that as an example, right? It's really amazing that in this day and age that seniors are being able to be naturally and slowly at that pace be pulled into it, even if it is just to be able to pick their own content that they want to watch. I know they got Netflix now, right? But to be able to choose their topics, and lots of people, they just love documentaries and stuff, and to just be able to go online and be able to consume and learn, right, what you want to learn rather than being that dictated by somebody else. And YouTube is so much more believable, and that's the truth. We're not talking about creative Broadway makeup and read your script and act this way, and the phony what do you call that, sets out there, and right. And I much appreciate being in the real. I really I can't stress enough how grateful I am that at my age that I am working in social media, right? Working in mindset, what I didn't even have any inkling of. I like nothing, totally big fat zero on that, and just be able to happen on to content that I resonated with, that made it possible to recognize, right, my father in that, and then to be able to delve in deeper and really in that be able to understand my dad. And yeah, and here I am, not quite like my dad, right? My dad was interested in space when it came to his understandings, right? In my understandings, I love history and I love nature. I'm not going to take the nature away from my dad. So my dad was in space and he was in nature, and I was in history and I was in nature. But I think for myself, and I think for my nieces and my nephews and my sisters moving forward. I think being able to delve into the past was our family's saving grace. And we didn't correct everything, but I think moving forward we made some leaps and bounds, and I think we saved we saved a bloodline or two in what I did and what I'm doing that a lot of people just would not get, even within my own family, right? Some members are polite and smile through it, but I don't truly think they really get it. But they humor me in that, and it's wonderful that I still have those relationships in my life. And it could have easily been a different story moving forward, right? Okay, let's get back into these. I got a card I need to pick. I feel the same way with AI. I know, in a sense, to a point, I had to jump on the bandwagon to learn and study about AI. If I don't know about it, I will be in the darkness and naive and clueless. And we would not have met, Tammy, right? Like, there are so many, but we are so close to everybody in this world right now if we choose to be. I know people from all over the world. And, right, even just Tammy here from Michigan, right? What were the chances that we would ever have met if it wasn't for AI learning? We wouldn't have, right? And sometimes it's just, right? And because Cindy believes that Cindy's not coming back, but there are parts of me that will. And if those other parts ever find themselves in a situation and they bump into Tammy, maybe Tammy might recognize those other parts of me and take me under her wing, right? Or those other parts of me recognize Tammy and take Tammy under my wing. And that's my hopes for that, right? And that's why I say it's a good thing that I allowed myself to be pulled into this digital age. Not everybody gets it, but I get it. And that's good enough, right? That's good enough. Hello, Eugene. Oh my goodness. Nice to see you tonight. Did you watch the Super Bowl yesterday? Tammy, did you watch the reruns of the Super Bowl? Um, but thank you so much for coming in. Okay, who knows? In the future, I may look into it for a job or income or something that I like. I don't know yet. Well, Tammy, right? It's never too late. And you have the right idea. It has to be something that you like, something that you love, right? I love what I'm doing right now. But I had no clue about this, right? If you had mentioned 10 years ago that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, guaranteed I wouldn't be doing it because I would have thought that it was too far out there. It was too much. It was too personal, right? But again, it's in that idea of just showing up and just moving forward and making mistakes and learning by those mistakes and staying social, right? That's so important that we stay social with each other. And this is a way for us to stay social because, some of us, we have lives that makes it so that we want to be by ourselves, right? That, my whole life has been a party of other people, literally, sometimes a party, right? And sometimes it was just too many parties, right? And so these understandings allow me now to understand it's okay. If I just want to spend some time with myself, that's okay. And I'm benefiting by it. And I hope, right, to be the examples so that other people are benefiting it by it too, right? Okay, I saw the score of the Super Bowl and got the updates. I was fine with that. I wanted to stay on your channel last night and hear you talk. Aw, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much, Tammy. You say the nicest things. Okay, you guys, let me have a sip of my coffee before it goes cold. A sip, I can have a gulp because it's like room temperature. I don't know why I make a fresh coffee. Every time I go live, I have to make a fresh coffee. I'll even be late a couple of minutes just to make sure I have that fresh cup of coffee. And I never get it drunk. And then as soon as my live show's over and I have a sip, like, oh, it's cold. I want a fresh cup of coffee. And it's such a waste, right? It's such a waste. But I do have my apple juice here. I got a probiotic waiting to go. I had some applesauce, so I'm letting the applesauce digest, right? So I've got some nice prebiotics in my system before I take that. And I've already taken the other vitamins. This afternoon I took them, so I'm all done. As soon as I take this probiotic, we're done for the night. Okay, you guys, let's grab a card and we'll just go into it for a moment. And if you've never hung out with me, there are 54 powerful words and there are 56 cards because two of the cards are in repeat. I did them twice only because I didn't do service by them when I was doing them up. So we did them again in that course of the year. And so there's two beliefs in there and there's two of the word acceptance in my deck. But other than that, they're just all different. Powerful words. Okay, here we go. You guys, man, I'm gonna have to measure this card, you guys. I believe this is the second time we've got this card in the past week. I'm laughing because the word acceptance popped up when I pull my cards all the time. But so does this word community. And I purposely now, I hold the cards up there so you guys can see. Just want to make sure that that's not acceptance. And let's just check the bottom card too. No, we're good. But we pulled this word community, you guys. And we pulled it the other day after I rehashed that word acceptance. Isn't that funny? I pull this card all the time, and you guys see me pull the cards. You know that I'm not looking at the deck. There's no bubble gum, no folded edges. It's the proper measurement because I even measured it. Might be a little bit different now because it popped up so many times. I gave it a little bit of a trim so it would be buried down there, but it still manages to show up. Okay, you guys, first perspective that comes to my mind. See, I'm kind of blank on this now because, in all honesty, I have covered this word so many times. I am 100% positive that I am missing it, right? I'm not too sure if I'm missing the word acceptance yet because if we can keep that word in the deck for another month, I'll be okay with it. But this word community, it pops up all the time. And because I understand serendipities and breadcrumbs, right? And the messages and the people and the experience that come across my path, that it's important. Now, I don't know if it's part of the prerequisite that I have to be technically a part of a community, right? Right? I think I'm my own person, and I think that's okay because when I look out there to where I take in my inspiration, the people that I'm inspired by, I don't particularly see that they are part of somebody else's community, right? They're part of their own communities. When I first started on YouTube, right, I was a party of one in that. I was an urban explorer. But once I started picking up on mindset, and once I really felt that attraction to other people out there that were doing their own thing. Yes, there were people that I would admired, and yes, there were two people that I was particularly taking a look at, right? Because I knew that I wouldn't be able to be an urban explorer forever. Mindset, there's a few people have been doing it right to the last day that they were on earth. There's nothing I think that would stop me from being able to do that. But it's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on YouTube. Not so much because at that time I wasn't in front of the camera, I was behind the camera, right? It's a different story now, but I was behind the camera. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to do the content that I was doing forever. And there were two well, there were three people because there was the person that I was allowing myself to learn YouTube by, but there were two other people that I was learning YouTube by at the same time, right? And one was a Christian gentleman, and he was the gentleman that I was allowing myself to learn by, and he was always having guests on and everything, and I really enjoyed the way he taught, and he was very good at it, and I used my intuition even though I didn't really understand it back then what it was. I knew it worked for me, and I knew he was telling the truth. I knew he was somebody I could trust. But there was somebody, well, there were two other people, right, that I was learning by. And one was a gentleman by the name of Nick Nimmin, and he was a YouTube creator, but he was teaching YouTube how to be good at it, how to do thumbnails, how to catch people's attention. I had this idea in my head that I wanted to be a YouTube superstar. I wanted to be bigger than Logan Paul, right? That I wanted to be a superstar in YouTube. But I don't think back then I actually truly believed in that because by the time I got hooked on these creators, I already wanted to be in the background. I wanted to be like a YouTube manager, right? I wanted to manage YouTube channels. I wanted to help other YouTube creators do what they want. So I got into the lessons and I learned, right? And this one gentleman, I think it was what was the channel? Creator Insider. It's been so long now, I forget his name. I think his name was Chris. But he was amazing, and I was taking my lessons in from him. And he used to have these events every once in a while, and it would be like the Brady Bunch, and there would be squares, and there would be other YouTube creators in these squares, like YouTube, like the Brady Bunch. Do you know what I'm talking about, Tammy, Eugene? And each person would be in their square, and then this. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't even remember his name in the moment, but he would talk to each one of these members, right? And then there was this one show, and he'd do them, oh, I don't know, once every couple of months or so. And then there was this one time, and he had those squares, probably about 12 people, YouTube creators in there, and they were talking about something, and somebody said something, and then somebody from one of the other squares got super upset, super angry, and started telling this guy off. And I was just like, oh, this is on YouTube. This is my lesson. And I was like offended. Why is he yelling at him? Right? And I'm just like, I was really upset by it, right? That like somebody was yelling at somebody else. And then I didn't think anything of it. But over a while, this guy happened to be doing the same thing, like teaching YouTube, but he was doing it in a particular way. He was using mindset. He was using um, values and aspects that really reminded me of my father. And I went, oh my goodness, like this this person is telling the truth. This is somebody I can trust. And because he's working in values, right? I started watching his videos, and that person happened to be Evan Carmichael, right? And I've been with him ever since, and I've been watching him grow in that. And I wanted to be a YouTube manager, and then he hired somebody else. I never even applied for a job, but he didn't put out any job offers or anything. He just knew somebody and just phoned him and come and join the team. And right, which is totally great. But then, right, I wanted to be my own person. And so I slowly walked into it because I felt at that time I started to change too. And I started working in mindset and working with values. And it led me into what I'm doing here now, right? And it's not like, that I am opposed to being a part of somebody else's community, but that person has to be worthy, right? That person has to have values. That person, right? I don't care about religious ideas or spiritual ideas, even political ideas and cultural ideas, as long as it's not shoved down my throat as a truth that I don't feel as a truth. Kind of that idea of putting somebody under their thumb. And when it comes to community, right? I've been kind of building my own community here on YouTube. But in my own community, I've been part of the YouTube community. I've been part of YouTube teachers, right? And thought leadership in the YouTube community, right? I got to understand about mindset and understand that it's okay that I am non denominational, that I'm able to make movement and hang out with whoever I want to, even if they are different than me, and be able to be a part of different communities out there. Even if it's not full fledged, even if I don't get a card, even if I'm not ever invited to one of their parties, right? That I can still, in my own way, participate. Because why? We all live this close to each other now, right? And because I believe that even though Cindy's not coming back, that other parts of me will be back. And I have to know who, right? Who they can trust, right? And feel out different creators and different thought leaders out there to judge for myself, so that at the very least, that when I'm gone and they pop up in somebody else, that person might at least have a fighting chance to make a little bit of movement for themselves, right? And it's not like anybody's perfect, right? And I can trust that next time around, that those other parts of me are not going to have the problems that they might have been having for a few generations, maybe many generations, right? Epigenetically, we pass these crappy things down to our kids, and they pass it down to their kids and their kids, right? But at some point, somebody's got to say no more, right? That's it, right? We are causing too much damage. And if we want to be able to move in our evolution, it's not a matter of resigning, and it's not a matter of um, letting down our values, but it's about learning to move with people who are different. Why? Because we fill each other's gaps up and we teach each other how to fill our own gaps up. Okay, you guys. We got that word community again. You guys, it's like crazy town when it comes to this word. If it shows up again next week, I may have to put it in the repair pile. I still have one word. Oh no, I fixed it, right? I so we're back up and running. If this word pops up again, hopefully I have at least one more perspective that I can shoot out there to get this word to stay in the deck and let some of these other powerful words shine. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. Pretty funny, eh? Oh no, I feel bad for you with your coffee there getting cold. Oh, don't worry about the coffee. Law. Oh boy, Cindy, that's hilarious. Yes, I know what you're talking about, the Brady Bunch square style. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right? We all get to make those choices for ourselves, right? It should never be forced down our throats, right? We all got to feel what's right for us, right? Not what's right for you. So many times in my life, I have had the most amazing people in my life. But if you asked my parents, or you asked my sisters, or you asked my other friends, they'd be thinking, oh my goodness, Cindy, what are you thinking about? Right? Lose them. And you know what? Some of those people, as much as mindset kind of got me on the right road, some of these people that other people might think were a-holes, right? I don't swear. That's about as close as I'm going to get, right? That you would think that of them. And that's okay. You don't have to hang out with us when we're all together, right? If you still want to be friends with me, that's amazing. But I'm not giving up one friend because somebody says it's either me or them. I get to decide, right? I get to decide. Cindy gets to decide, right? We can't discard the human in us. We can't ever, because why? We have that intuition, those serendipities, those breadcrumbs that we know how to work with. And I earned those badges. And Tammy, you earned your badges, right? And we're moving along just fine. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. We'll see you tomorrow.